Hello, friends. My name is Ted Livermore, and I am here with my good friend, Jill.
Hi.
And today, we are going to learn about the time that a Spanish fisherman sued the U.S. government over possession of a hydrogen bomb and won.
All right.
So, January 17th, 1966, around 10 a.m., a Spanish fisherman named Francisco Simo Orts was piloting his shrimp boat, the Manuela Orts, about 5 miles off the coast of Palomares, Spain. As he was preparing to raise his shrimp nets, he saw an explosion in the sky above him.
Wait, that is not a Spanish name. Is that like a Catalan name or something?
I think
Orts?
so. Orts, yeah. He goes by Simo, so I'm going to be referring to him as Simo. Throughout this, that is what he goes by. As fire and debris rained down, Simo saw 5 parachutes floating in the air away from the coast and out to sea. The 2 parachutes closest to Simo carried what he later described as, quote, half a man with his guts trailing, while the other appeared to carry a, quote, dead man. The dead man hit the ocean hard and disappeared under the waves. Simo was distressed that he couldn't reach it in time to recover the body. At this point in the Cold War in 1966, the United States was concerned about the so-called missile gap, that the Soviet Union had enough intercontinental ballistic missiles that they could wipe out all of the United States nuclear capability in one strike. To counter this threat, the US launched Operation Chrome Dome.
What a name.
What a name. Vaguely sexual. That called for nuclear-armed heavy bombers to be in flight and ready to strike 24 hours a day. In order to accomplish this, the US Air Force bombers had to be constantly refueled while in flight. By 1966, mid-air refueling technology was only about 5 years old. And yet, in order to maintain the pace of Operation Chrome Dome, mid-air refueling was happening every 6 minutes.
Wait, can you explain this map a little bit? What's happening?
Yeah, so these are the flights. These are the flights of the bombers. So there were 3 trajectories. One would launch from California and go up to what you don't see here is the Arctic Circle, because the fastest way to get to Russia is to fly over the Arctic, right?
So that like left foot.
Yeah, on the left. So they were just patrolling so they could fly over the Arctic so they could drop bombs on Russia. The other way was over the northern route over Greenland, same thing. And then the southern route, which is over Palomares, went over Spain into the Mediterranean and Black Sea, and then they turned around and came back. So
seems inefficient. The southern route.
The entire thing was inefficient to have multiple bombers. They were refueling every 6 minutes. So the missile gap, by the way, invented by John F. Kennedy as a criticism of Dwight Eisenhower in 1957 as John F. Kennedy was preparing to run for president.
Got it.
Yeah, this was back when the Democrats were the ones that were like, we're not spending enough money on the military.
That was a thing?
That was a thing.
Unfortunate.
So an Operation Chrome Dome mission was happening over Palomares on the morning of January 17th, 1966, when a US Air Force B-52 heavy bomber collided with a KC-135 refueling tanker, causing both aircraft to crash and killing 7 of the 11 crew members on both planes.
I like that it's called the Stratofortress.
Yes, that is the official name of the B-52.
B-52G?
That was the variant that this particular plane was.
Variant.
Yeah. Because the B-52 bomber was on a Chrome Dome mission, I know, vaguely sexual, it was carrying 4 thermonuclear hydrogen bombs, each roughly 100 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. All 4 bombs were ejected from the aircraft. The United States military now had 4 missing hydrogen bombs. The incident was dubbed Broken Arrow 29.
Okay, and asking a question for a friend. When you say hydrogen bomb, are we talking nuclear bomb?
Yes, hydrogen bomb is, yes, it's a more advanced nuclear bomb than the original ones. They're more powerful, 100 times more powerful than the one that destroyed Hiroshima.
Cool. Okay.
They're big bombs.
Well, it's Operation Chrome Dome.
Operation Chrome Dome.
Do you know why it was called Chrome Dome?
I did not look that up.
What?
have
It didn't
no-
like pique your
No,
curiosity?
it didn't. It was just so stupid that I just moved on. All right. So 3 of the bombs fell onto farmland along the coast. The safety parachutes on one bomb deployed, and it fell harmlessly to the ground. The 2 other bombs fell to the ground at full speed and detonated on impact.
Sorry, why don't we know about this?
The time we dropped hydrogen bombs on Spain,
They're
yeah.
like bigger than the ones we dropped on Japan? What?
Well, so here's the thing. So because they were not deliberately dropped, the bombs were not armed, meaning that a chain reaction that results in a nuclear detonation did not occur.
Oh.
However, the high explosives designed to detonate and trigger the nuclear blast did explode. The blast left house-sized craters on either side of the village, scattering plutonium and contaminating crops and farmland.
Okay, so to be clear, Chernobyl happened. Why wasn't it as bad as because the nuclear part didn't go off, but the plutonium spread?
Yeah, so we dropped dirty bombs on Spain is basically what we did. So the high explosive scattered the plutonium all over. So the plutonium's highly radioactive,
Right.
but it didn't cause a chain reaction, which is where you get the mushroom cloud and the huge force behind it.
So what did it look like?
So we just dropped conventional bombs,
Okay.
basically
And
house-sized craters. Yes, conventional bombs that formed house-sized craters, and then those bombs spread plutonium all over the Spanish farmland.
That's cool. That's cool.
So the U.S. military immediately panics and sends every able-bodied man from a nearby Air Force base to find the missing bombs.
Where was that nearby Air Force base?
It was pretty close to Palomares. Quote, "It was just chaos," John Garman, then a military police officer, told the New York Times. Wreckage was all over the village. A big part of the bomber had crashed down in the yard of the school.
What?
Quote, "There was no talk about radiation or plutonium or anything else," Frank B. Thompson, then a 22-year-old Air Force trombone player, told the New York Times. Instead, military personnel were ordered to seal off the area and find the bombs with no protective gear.
Your review. Is there like an Air Force? There's an Air Force band that you joined?
Yes, they took literally every person they had because they're missing 4 nuclear bombs, and they're like, oh shit.
Okay, and if you just casually spread plutonium around, like it's 50 years, 60 years later, but that's still there, isn't it?
Eventually, a camp for nearly 3,000 soldiers was set up, and a fleet of 20 U.S. Navy ships was dispatched to the coast of Spain. This is a map of the radiation. The U.S. and Spanish government assured the local population that there was no danger. Meanwhile, the U.S. military dug up 600 acres of radioactive crops and topsoil for disposal and forcibly barred the local population from returning to their homes. From a contemporary Spanish magazine, quote, "There was a cultivation restriction, a fishing ban, and incineration of much of the harvest. Neighbors stopped being able to sell their garden and livestock products as regular customers refused to buy them. The campaign to make risk invisible had to be forceful."
Can you walk me through these photos?
Yeah, so the left is one of the downed planes. I believe that in the top left, that is the tanker. What's left of the tanker that crashed in farmland.
And it had a bomb attached to it, or it's just?
No, that was the tanker. Didn't have any bombs on it. That's the refueling tanker.
Those women clearly understand what happened.
Yes, and then the bottom left is the camp that they set up for the soldiers who were taking the topsoil and crops. 3,000 soldiers were camped out. So this is like their cantina.
Jesus
Now,
Christ.
the top right, I will explain. By March 8th, the decontamination work had been completed, and the U.S. ambassador to Spain, who's the guy with the man boobs here, and the Spanish minister for information and tourism swam on nearby beaches in front of the international press to demonstrate the lack of danger.
And later died of cancer or what?
These guys are just such pricks. They know exactly what they're doing. It's total theater.
Like they still did it.
Nothing. Yeah. Oh no, they know exactly what they're doing.
But so then they died of radiation.
No, I mean, no, but like you can go swim in the ocean, but like these people have to go back to their homes and live in it and grow crops in it. And they can just go, you can go, you're not gonna die. Like, it's not that radioactive. Like You're not going to die for a
Radioactivity's
swim.
in water. Radioactive water?
It's the same thing, yeah. Okay.
Why would I know?
So nearly 2 months after the two aircraft collided, the US military had found 3 bombs that landed on Palomares and concluded its decontamination efforts. There was still one problem. They hadn't found the 4th bomb. Shortly after the aircraft collided, Major General Delmar Wilson, the man in charge of responding to the accident, sent out a call for help.
His name was Delmar Wilson?
Yes.
Cool.
His request landed with a group of engineers at Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where the bomb had been designed. Sandia engineers had designed the shape, structure, and aerodynamics of the bomb case, as well as its parachute system. This last part was important because the leading theory was that bomb number 4's parachute had deployed and the wind had carried it out to sea. On Saturday, January 22nd, Alan Pope, the director of aero projects at Sandia, received a call from the Pentagon asking for help in locating the bomb. A few minutes later, he called Randall Maydew, the cheerful manager of Sandia's aerodynamics department. The two men quickly assembled a team and began crunching numbers on their IBM 7090 and CDC 3600 computers.
Why did you include that detail?
Because I liked the old-timey computers. Early in the search, an unnamed colonel remarked, quote, "If someone had sat down to figure out the hardest way to lose a hydrogen bomb, he could not have come up with anything more devilish."
Oh, man.
Indeed, the best the Sandia engineers could do was narrow the search area to 27 square nautical miles, which is more than 996 million square feet of muddy water, thousands of feet deep in some places.
This reminds me a little bit of like the MH370 search.
Yes,
Which
yes.
really infuriates me, and I still Google it occasionally. Okay, so they couldn't find the 4th bomb.
So a few days later,
Wait, sorry, can you go back to that last time? Test fired a self-guided bullet. What?
yeah, I just threw that in there when I went to look up Sandia. I enjoyed that.
What did they, it's like, we're self-guided to where? From where? To where?
Yeah, it's a bullet that will lock onto its target and move.
Did it work?
Yeah, the test did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so a few days later, after the January 22nd call for help, the Sandia Laboratories team had arrived in Spain, and an Air Force captain alerted them to Francisco Simo Ort's sighting from his fishing boat on the day of the accident.
Wait, can I review? How long did it take them to call these people?
They called immediately. No. So it took them 2 months to clean up the radioactivity from the 2 bombs that detonated on land, okay? So 2 bombs detonated on land, the 3rd one parachute deployed. So they've got 3 of the 4 bombs.
But to call for help.
They call for help immediately. So they're decontaminating for 2 months. Meanwhile, they're also searching for the 4th bomb that they cannot find.
Right.
Okay, so the Sandia engineers come to Spain. They have 27 nautical miles. They have 4 search areas. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They have these old-timey computers. Like the Air Force has ballistic missile computers they're trying to use. No one knows what the hell is going on.
Wind.
So because there's so many factors, right? But Simo, he saw these bombs fall. So that the Sandia engineers get alerted that Simo had this sighting. So the team went to interview Simo. Quote, "I asked Simo to sketch the position of his boat and the objects he saw. As Simo described what he saw, the team realized that the dead man that Simo had seen fall into the water was in fact bomb number 4.
No.
And the half man with his entrails hanging out was the parachute bag and packing lines for bomb number 4.
Okay, so 2 separate falls. One's actually just the parachute and the other is just the bomb.
Yes.
Can I just point out some things?
Mhm.
Irrelevant,
Mhm.
but I just think it's very cute that this map includes a cemetery and tomato fields. And I'd also like to include that Simo is not unattractive. Carry on.
Thank you for that contribution. So the Sandia engineers nicknamed Simo Bomb Paco.
Why?
Because they're racist.
Is Paco a nickname for Francisco?
I have no idea. I could not find it, but that was what they nicknamed
Look it up.
Okay, so Simo's sighting didn't match the Sandia computer's calculation, but the team was convinced that the fisherman, with his sharp eye and confident reckoning, trumped the computer.
It sounds like they were trying to flatter him. You have a sharp eye.
With this new data in hand, Admiral William Guest, in charge of the search of the sea, was briefed on the morning of February 5th, right? So January 17th is when the accident happened. We're now February 5th. They urged Guest to add Simo's sighting as a third area to the sea search. Guest was unimpressed. Quote, "It was obvious that the Admiral didn't place much faith in the sighting or navigation skills of Simo the fisherman. He mentioned several times that he might start his search based on the sophisticated ballistic missile computers calculations of Sandia and the Air Force. However, an additional sighting from a local pharmacist and his assistant, as well as readings from underwater radar, soon convinced the Admiral to agree to search the area Simo described. Even with Simo's description, it took nearly 2 months to locate the bomb. The bomb was found on a steep ledge in 2,550 feet of water.
So they did find it.
They did, yes.
Ooh.
And Simo was right.
Okay.
The challenge now was how to haul the bomb to the surface. That task fell to an experimental submersible midget sub named Alvin.
So I can't rewind.
Mhm.
Oh, look at how cute he is. A midget sub. Just was curious about that.
Yeah, so in the fall, in the spring of this year, 2021,
No.
yes, there was a Spanish television series released about this incident.
And what did they say about it? Did you watch
It's called The Day the Sky Burned.
it? Oh, that's cute.
There were also protests
show.
in Madrid at the time where they chanted Yankee assassins. The Spanish were not,
What's that?
they were not real thrilled.
They didn't love it?
No, they did not. They did not love the fact that we dropped nuclear bombs on them.
Yeah, but they didn't detonate.
No, they did detonate.
What?
Yes, we dropped dirty bombs on Spain.
No, well, dirty, but not nuclear.
The-
I feel like you just told me that there was a difference.
it didn't result in a chain
Like-
reaction, so it like didn't have a huge explosion, but like
So
we
like
dropped
trickle
bombs that were
plutonium.
radioactive.
But it
Yes,
was just like school.
they were tiny. Yes,
house size.
yes, they were small. They were small nuclear bombs,
Yeah,
but they
these
were
little guys.
okay.
And then we dug it up
Yeah.
and apologized, I imagine.
Okay, so Alvin was a craft designed for this exact purpose.
He looks like he deserves his own like cartoon TV show.
There were 2 problems with Alvin, though.
Oh no.
One, had never been tested before. He was still being developed when this happened,
It sounds
and Alvin could only lift 50 pounds, a fraction of what the bomb weighed.
Sorry, why did they send Alvin in?
They had no other option. There was no, this is 1966, so there's no way to get down 2,500 feet underwater and get something, right?
The problem.
So the decision was made to use Alvin to hook a rope onto the bomb and pull it to the surface. On March 24th,
How long was this rope? 22 feet long. No, that's Alvin.
No,
How long was the rope?
well, they're down 2,550 feet.
Okay.
So
6,000.
yes, we did at the time have technology to make
Rope.
long ropes. Yeah.
Wow. Look at this.
All right. So March 24th, a full 10 weeks after the bomb had been lost, Alvin managed to hook a 1-inch nylon rope onto the bomb.
1 inch?
1 inch.
That's not-
Well, yeah. Sailors hooked the rope to a huge winch, and shortly after 8 p.m., the winch began to turn. For a full hour, winch?
For viewers out there,
Winch.
not for me.
For a
Only
full
for them.
hour, it reeled
What is
in.
a winch?
What? Oh! It's it's a thing that reels in rope. It's a.
Oh yeah. Like on a fish, like on a
Yeah,
fishing pole.
exactly.
The fishing
Correct.
winch.
That is a winch. Yes.
Got it.
All right. In his 1967 book, The Bombs Over Palomares, Tad Sulzak describes what happened next. Quote, at 9:15 p.m., the line took a sudden heavy strain and went awesomely slack. It had snapped, and the bomb with its parachute had dropped somewhere into the black depths of the Mediterranean.
Oh man.
The bomb once again was lost. The Alvin crew was eating dinner when someone broke the news. Quote, "Oh boy," said the captain with a groan. "Now we've got to find it again."
So it was at 6,000 feet.
No, it was at 2,500 feet. Alvin can go down 6,000 feet.
Okay. is at 2,500 feet. Alvin goes down. Then, when we say an inch, do we mean an inch?
Yeah, an inch thick.
Obviously. That seems appropriate for a bomb. Go on.
So by April 2nd, so this is like a week later, they located the bomb for the second time. And
That's it?
That's it, underwater. That's where it was laying underwater. Alvin took these pictures.
Alvin, man, multitasker. Why isn't he a photographer? He's kind of shitty as a, bomb collector.
Well, I think it was the rope was the problem, but by April 7th, the bomb was finally out of the water and on a Navy ship.
Oh, we just really glossed over that.
I mean, they did the same thing. They just used a bigger rope this time. Yeah, they did. They did the same. I cut it out because it's boring.
Speak for yourself.
After 81 days, the saga of bomb number 4 was over.
You know what I just thought of? Those Chilean miners. How long were they under for?
That's a good question. It was like a month, right?
No,
because they made a movie about it.
Yeah, it's called.
It was 30
89
something.
days.
89. Okay. Listen, 81 days is a long time to be like, we're missing a nuclear bomb.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So after 81 days, the saga of the bomb number 4 is over.
General Wilson's posture does not say like victory.
Yeah.
What do you think he's telling you?
He was not.
He hates his pants.
He did not like animal guests. They had some.
Does he have like mutton chops? What's going on there? Oh no, I couldn't see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no one's happy in that picture.
The bomb is recovered, but Simo was not done. This is him getting an accommodation from the mayor of Palomares.
Why?
Because it was his sighting that led to them finding.
Oh, just because he happened to be there? Yeah, that deserves praise.
Okay, but okay. Well, then listen to this. So Simo invoked international salvage law that entitled anyone who found an object missing at sea to 2% of the value of that object.
Can you review? Do you know where international salvage law came from? Who creates this law?
Yeah, there's treaties that countries have signed on to. It's supposed to encourage people like help. Yeah. So 2% might not seem like a lot, but the bomb was estimated to be worth over $1 billion in 1966.
What? Oh, Simo.
So Simo sued the U.S. government in federal court in New York for $5 million. Simo won and was awarded $14,556.
Come on. Come on.
The U.S. government paid $710,000 to settle claims from Spanish citizens harmed by the incident and built a desalination plant in Palomares as a goodwill gesture. Bomb number 4 was shipped back to its birthplace at Sandia National Laboratories and is now on display at the National Atomic Museum in Albuquerque.
Hey, can I just amend one thing I said earlier about Simo not being unattractive?
Taking it back?
Yeah, I feel like either he's more unattractive than I thought, or this just really didn't catch him in his best light.
I think it's a bad picture.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of is that picture of that woman, who restored the picture of Jesus a couple of years ago, and it was just like someone called it like a humongous. This is just not his best angle.
Okay.
Sorry,
so, National Atomic Museum in Albuquerque, bomb number 4 is on display. Its tail is shredded from being winched up from thousands of feet below the sea, and it has a huge dent in its nose. On the side, in black stencil, are the words, "Caution, do not bump."
Okay, fine. But then, do they know where do they suspect the big bump on the front came from?
Yeah, that's why I included that detail because it's ironic.
I get it. But do they think it was on impact with the water? We don't know.
I don't know. It got dropped twice. So maybe when Alvin dropped it. So yeah, that's the story of the time that we dropped nuclear bombs on Spain.
Sorry, did we just gloss over when he sued the government?
He won. He was awarded $14,556 for his troubles.
The troubles of what? Seeing it and being like a dead man / bomb dropped into the water?
I think he should have gotten more.
I mean, first off, Spain should have gotten more.
We literally might not have ever found it. Yeah, we might not have ever found it without him.
Yeah.
And then like there's a whole thing, like there was a Russian fishing boat, quote unquote, that like had all this, that was spying on the operation. Like the Russians would have tried to get the bomb. We did that. There was a Russian nuclear submarine off the coast of Hawaii that blew up, and we actually did recover it. We built specially designed ships to go recover this submarine.
You just sent all in, yeah.
Yeah, we should. So yeah, we dropped a nuclear bomb on Spain. A couple of them.
And then what? Then afterwards, Spain was like, yeah, sure, award this private citizen this money, and we'll just never talk about it ever again.
Yeah, Spain. They ended up kicking our military out of Spain after
That
this.
feels vaguely appropriate.
Yeah, and Operation Chrome Dome.
Chrome Dome.
Yeah, I forgot about Chrome Dome.
Yeah, can we talk? Yeah, can you go back to that? Like, what was the plan? Like, oh, you have these bombs over Spain, and so then you can bring them to Russia? Like, what was the plan?
Yes, the plan was that if Russia launched all of its intercontinental ballistic missiles, which it didn't have, by the way, which were made up by John F. Kennedy,
right,
because he wanted to be president.
Right.
Yeah, if they did that, we would have bombers in the sky that could retaliate.
Right. By flying from Spain up to Russia.
Spain was like a waypoint. Like those flights went through to, like all the way to the other side.
So it's not like Russia didn't know we had those planes there.
Yeah, but there's nothing they could do about it. Like the idea was that we had so many planes.
This is bonkers.
Yep, I think that's a good summary. Thanks, Jill.